Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Rando Rob, the show in which I, Rob, pick out random objects from my collection of hundreds, if not thousands, of items and share them with you. On today's show, by the way, for those of you that don't know, you can listen to the audio version of this on my Robcasts podcast feed, which is on Apple Podcasts. You can find that over at podcast.robohara.com. You can find information on the show. You can find the links. You can find all the audio episodes. But I also do this as a video show on YouTube. So you can go over to youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. There's a playlist right there for Rando Rob, and you can watch all these episodes if you want to see the item that I am talking about. This item is relatively new. It's not that new. I've probably had it for 3 or 4 years, but the story around this goes all the way back to the 1980s. The world of breakdancing and the world of portable boom boxes. So, if you weren't alive in the 1980s, you may have seen movies referencing the 1980s and seen people walking around on the streets with boom boxes on their shoulder, big giant radios. They were called. The titles were descriptive. I mean, they explained what they were. In the day, we called them ghetto blasters. I've heard some people say that's not a term that people use anymore. That was the idea, that you could just take this thing and go blast your music to everyone in the neighborhood. The culture and the idea was not unlike having these car stereos, like the booming car stereos that you can drive around and crank up and just force everyone to listen to what you are also listening to. The other term was boombox, and again, it's very descriptive. It is a box-shaped thing that booms, So if you were what I most associate them with is the 1980s and breakdancing, especially outdoor. Like, people would show up, I think from I have no personal experience. This was not something that happened a lot in Oklahoma. But, from the movies like Breakin' and Beat Street, that, breakdancers would be on a street corner. They would be performing maybe for money, or maybe just, for entertainment, maybe in Venice Beach, California, on a pier somewhere, maybe, like I said, in New York, New Jersey, somewhere like that. But they would be outside performing. I'm not leaving out every other city where breakdancing happened. I know you got to get into New York and all these other places. Anyway, the point is that people would be outside performing, and so they would have this big portable radio that would be really loud, and they would turn it up, and that's what they would use when they were performing and dancing and stuff like that. So, as a kid, I think if you looked at catalogs, it probably just said like portable radio or portable stereo system. They may have said boombox, I don't know, But yeah, so that was the idea. I got my first one when I was probably in 3rd grade or 4th grade, something like that. If you never owned one of the original boom boxes, they took a lot of batteries. I think they usually took either C cell or D cell batteries. And when I say a lot, like, I think mine took 8. And the thing was, most excuse me, boomboxes had the ability to play the radio and also play cassette tapes. Now, there were a few that were really offshoots that would do weird things. Like, there were some that would actually play a vinyl record. I've seen one that would hold a vinyl record vertically, and you could play vinyl records. But for the most part, that's what you were looking at, was a cassette player and a radio. And the cassette, because you got the motor, the motor assembly, all that, those moving parts, playing cassette tapes took a lot more battery life than just listening to the radio. Listening to the radio, your batteries would last a relatively long time. If you're playing cassette tapes, it would last not quite as long. And the early boomboxes, for the most part, I think only had one cassette deck, but then a lot of them started getting two cassette decks so that you could also dub tapes. You could play on one side and record on the other, make copies of tapes. Of course, I had a stereo in my room that had the ability to do that. That wasn't portable. But anyway, I got my boombox when I was like third, fourth grade, something like that. I remember taking it on the bus to school. Boomboxes always had a handle, so you could carry them around, but also you could put them, if it was big enough, on your shoulder, and you could hold on to that handle to make sure it wouldn't fall or whatever, because they weren't necessarily the lightest thing in the world either. But that was, kind of the gist of it. Like I said, I took mine on the bus and would play music, and everybody would enjoy that on the bus. You knew your batteries were about to die when you were listening to cassette tapes, and the music would start playing more slowly. The songs would be like, everybody's got a cut foot loose. You go, uh-oh. No dancing today. Batteries are running low. So, anyway, fast forward. As you know, I love my retro items. I love my nostalgia. And for a long time, I've been wanting to buy a boombox. And I bought several boomboxes, vintage 1980s boomboxes. And one of the problems with these things is that all the mechanism that made the cassette tapes work had little rubber belts inside there. And those belts, over the years, dried up, got fragile, and broke. Now, there were some, I think, more expensive that were like a direct drive, like to the motor or something like that, and those would be okay. But I would go out on a ledge and say the majority, I feel safe in saying the majority of old school cassette players, especially from boomboxes, things like that, are no longer working. And so they can be fixed. You're going to have to disassemble them. It's going to take some work. There's lots of tutorials on YouTube, and replace the belts to get those things working again. Because again, it's not the motor that stops working. It's the belt drive assembly that turns the cassette tape. But anyway, I really wanted another boombox. And what I would really like is the same model of boombox that I had as a kid, which I don't know off the top of my head, but I have it written down somewhere. But, so I did buy several boomboxes and was disappointed to find out that they did not play cassette tape. So basically what I had was big, giant radios, and I had several of them over the years. I bought 2 or 3 different ones, and every time, and for some reason they were always like, they would be at a garage sale where they didn't have any batteries, and they would say, oh yeah, the tape player works, and you get it home and you put batteries, and then the tape player doesn't work. So that kind of situation. Now, I did ask for Christmas a few years ago the M90, the retro, I think, what is it called? The slightly smaller, scaled down Bluetooth boombox. And I got that for Christmas. My dad got me that for Christmas. And it doesn't play actual cassette tapes. It's a Bluetooth. It's a large Bluetooth speaker, so you can connect to it with your phone or any Bluetooth device. It also has an aux in and stuff like that. And it's super great. I love it. When we go out to the pool, when we go out, for a picnic, anything like that, we can take this and set it up. And when people see it, they go, "Oh, that's cool." But I mean, the minute you see it, you can tell that it's scaled down. It's not as large as the one from the 80s, right? But during all this time, I was, trying to get a boombox, trying to track one down that worked or whatever. Christmas a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Christmas morning, my wife still fills, she coordinates with Santa and gets the stockings filled, and she gets everyone's wish list of things that they want. She gets that to Santa. Santa fills the stockings. And so this Christmas morning, I opened up my stocking and I reached in and I found this. This is a, what would you call this? A miniature boombox. This thing is, let's see, if you're normally they say your hand span from here to the end of your finger is about 6 inches. So I'm going to say this is probably 3.5, 4 inches wide, maybe a inch and a half tall. So it's a tiny little boombox, and it's a little cute thing. And you go, it's a cute thing to put on the shelf. I like little boomboxes. You have a handle that actually, if you're watching on the YouTube, you can see the handle flips up, and you can actually use this tiny little handle. But what you might not realize is that this is actually a functional Bluetooth speaker. It's a very tiny little boombox again. But these buttons, you have knobs on the top, right? Like where the volume knob would be and things like that. And you can turn them, but turning them doesn't do anything. But if you listen, they're all clickable buttons. And so one is play and pause, and there's next track, I think, and then there's a volume up and volume down. But here are the controls right here on top of this little miniature boombox. And on the back, if you look, there is a USB-C port. So you can plug in. You have to pull the handle up here so you can see it. But right here in the middle of the back, there is a USB-C port. So this does have a tiny internal battery that you can recharge with USB-C, or you could just leave it plugged into a source or whatever. But this is an actual working Bluetooth speaker, a very small one. I would not expect to throw a dance party on a street corner with this little bad boy. But several years ago, Super 7 is a company that makes new 3 3/4 action figures, and I've bought several of them over the years. I bought their line of several different action figures, but I did buy the set of action figures from the movie Breakin'. So I have Turbo and Ozone and Special K. I also got the limited edition Comic-Con set of those, which was, one were in their normal outfits from Breakin', and I think the limited edition one had them in neon colors in their outfits from Breakin' 2. So if you need both of those things like I do, I have them both. But I also bought their set of Run DMC figures. So I have Run DMC and Jam Master Jay. And instead of the old Star Wars figures that came with, like blasters and lightsabers, they come with microphones. I think Jam Master Jay comes with a vinyl record, so they have some little accessories that come with them, and they are super awesome. I love them so much, and I have them set up on the shelves behind me. And this boombox makes a perfect accessory to that setup. So I have a small little setup where I've got Run DMC set up like they are, getting ready to perform live. And we've got the 3 characters from Breakin' on one side, and I forgot who I may have Scooby-Doo figures on the other side, as if Turbo and Ozone are about to go have a breakdance battle against Fred and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, with Special K and Daphne and Velma waiting in the wings for their turn to go do a rap battle. So, or a dance-off, maybe, a one-on-one breakdancing fight. So, anyway, this little Bluetooth radio, I like it because my wife got it for me. I like it because it actually works. It is actually a Bluetooth speaker. I have put it on my desk. I took it to work and had music playing out of it. And I always feel like, for some reason, when I listen to music on this one specifically, maybe, not necessarily the bigger one that I have, the M90, because, it's like a general use radio, right? But when I use this, I only listen to things from the 80s on it. It's not a hard set rule, right? There's no actual physical switch on here that prevents other music. But I just feel like if you're going to have this set up and you put it over there, you got to play, your Rocket. You got to play Reckless. You got to play, Beat Street, the king of the beat. I see you rocking that beat from across the street. Beat Street is a lesson too, because you can't let the street beat you. Oh my gosh. I'm taken back to 1984 which I always want to say is 20 years ago. And as of this year, 2024, it is 40 years ago, 4 decades ago. I was standing at night, spending weekends at night under the street light out in front of my house with my boombox, trying to practice my sweet, sweet breakdancing moves. I don't know if you've ever tried to moonwalk across asphalt covered in gravel. It's not the easiest thing in the world. You don't want to do the backspin out there in front of my house. Not comfortable. So anyway, I hope you enjoy seeing this little thing. If I don't even know where my wife got this thing. I'm sure there's a million of them, but this one's mine, and it is part of the Rando Rob collection. So thanks for tuning in to another episode. Again, if you like to listen to the audio versions of these, go over to podcast.robohara.com. You can find links to this and all my other podcasts. And if you want to watch the video and actually see the mini boombox we're talking about, you can go to youtube.com/Rob O'Hara and just look for the Rando Rob playlist. There's other playlists on there too with video game streams and random videos and all kinds of stuff on there. So thanks for checking out another random item of mine, and we will see you guys here next week.